Good morning. Good morning. Let's get everybody in here little by little. Fantasy Jester show coming to you live on YouTube. It's a good Sunday morning. How's everybody doing? If you're joining me over here, good old year-round fantasy football discussion group last night to this morning, we followed it up on the Fantasy Jester page. If you're not there, you should be. Every Sunday morning, we follow up the show from last night with any questions that any of you have, as well as all the late games and the Sunday night game, the Monday game. We break it all down for you. We're going to go ahead. We're bringing JT back in. As some of you know, he is my co-host. You can find him on Twitter, Fez437. And I'll tell you right now, we're going to break it down. We're going to play the pre-record. I'm going to come back. I'm going to break down. I'm going to give you the live breakdown of the Baltimore-Pittsburgh game. As we get everybody in here, we'll go ahead, answer any questions that anybody has that will pop up. We'll see who comes on. Again, this is all new. This is the second time on YouTube, getting this all down, getting used to working over here, both at the same time and getting everybody set up, knowing to come to these places now, where to find us on a Sunday morning. So welcoming everybody in, and thanks so much for joining us. Again, going to give you the late games of week 4. The breakdown. We're going to bring JT in a pre-recorded show we did Friday night. Again, as he's getting his studio all set up in his new place with his family. This is how we're going to bring it for everybody. A pre-recorded JT. I'll talk. I'll take questions live. So again, thanks for everybody joining in. Let me just move this one camera over just a bit and then give it a turn. And then that helps. This way, I kind of, that works, and it works well. Let's go ahead. Let's get the JT and I portion in and play that. Enjoy. All right. Get into this next segment where we bring in one more time. Interesting. We're going to take time out on that one. We're going to make a change on the settings here. We're going to add a speaker, so everybody can hear it, not just me. This is what happens when you're doing it second time, folks. Still working out kinks. Play along. Thanks.
Bring him in one more time. Bartender, 2 more shots. Look, get a little buzz going. That's nice. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the segment with JT myself, actually. Hope you are too, wherever you're tuning in. Jason, we got these last 2. Let's get to them. San Francisco.
Hope everybody can hear it well over here, too. Everybody over here, how's everybody doing?
Well, I got to defer to the Fantasy Jester page on Facebook as I read something today out there where you mentioned C.J. Beathard, a guy that has absolutely, you want to talk about old mother Hubbard being there. I mean, Pierre Garçon, I don't think he's ever going to really recover from that neck injury. A guy that you and I were high on, and Marquise Goodwin to start the year, just hasn't seemed to be able to stay healthy and be out there a whole lot. When he has, he really hasn't been overly effective. When I look at that offense right now, we don't know about Matt Breida. Questionable last I read, game time decision. There's obviously no Jerick McKinnon, who's been out for the year. Jimmy Garoppolo out for the year. So in comes the second-year man out of Iowa, C.J. Beathard, with another chance to go out there and throw to Kittle. The guy he knows from college, but that's about it. I mean, when you look at that 49ers offense at this point, man, talk about a team that's just been decimated by injuries. Other than Kittle, you've got a couple rookies out there that have some potential. But again, we're talking about C.J. Beathard at this point, a guy that had more interceptions than touchdowns last year and barely over a 50% completion percentage. So at this point right now, I think San Francisco's offense, fantasy-wise for me, is on the block list. Now I want to flip over to the Chargers side of the ball, though. Got to eat a little bit of crow myself here, a guy that I may have talked a little bit despairingly about before the season, and Mike Williams. It's looking like he might be a guy that to fulfill that 7th pick in the draft promise from Clemson. We're talking about a guy that should have a huge week this week. Keenan Allen should be a go. I believe Antonio Gates is a go. Melvin Gordon is a go. You got to worry about Melvin Gordon. That's a guy you never know if the kid's going to be out there or not. He's always hurt, but I'll give him credit. The last, say, 20 games, he's made sure he's out there. Kids that I know is near and dear to your heart, Jester, a guy like in Austin Eckler is a guy that I wish would get more touches.
Yeah.
It's a guy that is just dynamite. We're looking at almost 7 yards per carry when this guy gets his hands on the football. A guy that catches the ball out of the backfield can make you miss. I mean, you could be in a phone booth with this guy and you probably can't tackle him, let's be honest. So this guy is dynamite. And I mean, he is a home run hitter. I want to see them get him involved more, and they have this year. It looks like they're making a concerted effort to give Gordon a break, get this guy in the game. Offensive line is gelling well. And let's be honest, Phil Rivers does not look like a 35, 34, 35, 36-year-old quarterback. He's playing well. He's throwing the ball well. He's moving well. And he's got some nice weapons. So I think the Chargers are – this is one of those games that I say, the survivor pool, this is one of those. I think it's going to be ugly, and I see some huge fantasy numbers on that Los Angeles side of the ball.
Interesting. I've got to agree with you on the Los Angeles side of the ball. They're going to put up their points. Rivers is going to put up his points, and across the board. And again, Mike Williams is going to see probably some extra targets now with Keenan Allen being a definite maybe for this weekend. So even if he plays, how much will he play? So especially this week, you got to like what Mike Williams brings to the table fantasy-wise. But on the flip side, let's not ignore if you're looking for, you're in a deeper league, you're looking for lightning to strike. You know, there is somebody on this San Francisco team that I think we could see have a big week. And it's a young man, rookie, Dante Pettis, somebody who worked with CJ with the number 2s, while Garcon and Goodwin were busy working with Jimmy G. You got a guy like Pettis who is already working with CJ Beathard, might have that rapport in a game where Los Angeles is going to be putting up points, so they're going to be passing often. And the one thing to know about this Los Angeles Chargers defense, they have given up the second most fantasy points to wide receivers this year. Dante Pettis might be a very nice, sneaky play this week. Let me ask you something. As we're taking a look at that San Francisco team, my one question to you, though, is Breida the type of guy that you can go ahead and hang your hat on rest of the season? Is he a guy that you're targeting if you're out there in fantasy world as somebody who's going to just continue to take over this backfield away from Alfred Morris?
Wow, I mean, on a talent level, I'd like to say yes, but, you know, he's got to be on the field, and let's be real, he looked like he had a major injury last week to that leg. Was able to come back in and still play, you know, fairly well. I mean, the guy's got the talent. He led the nation, you know, in college with yards per carry average of 8.4 his last year in college. So the guy's got supreme talent, small school or not. I just don't trust his health. We got a guy that's now missed some time in each of the last 2 games. Yes, he's been able to come back in both those games, but at this point, to me, it shows a pattern. We see a guy that just gets dinged. If you're talking from a pure talent perspective, absolutely, this kid's a guy you can hang your hat on. I just don't trust the injury history.
Well, right now he's listed as a game time decision with this knee, okay? Mm-hmm. My question to you is, if he goes down, obviously Alfred Morris isn't going to become the bell cow. Who do you pick up? Raheem Mostert, or do you pick up Kyle Juszczyk?
Wow. I mean, we've seen Raheem Mostert play for the Eagles, play for the Dolphins, more of a speed kick return guy, but a guy that at least has some similarity to a Jerick McKinnon, a guy that Shanahan paid a lot of money to, a guy that can catch the ball out of the backfield. I would think at that point, I'm looking more for, some kind of a spark for that offense. So I would think Raheem Mostert would be the guy I would go for there.
Because of Breeder's injury problem that he has, in 12 team and higher, are you starting to list Mostert as a stash?
You know what? I'd like to. You would think it would be, but I think if you lost Breida, let's say, for a significant amount of time, I think that's when San Francisco goes out and try to pry a running back off of another team. A team that's sitting on, maybe you look over somewhere like a Buck Allen in Baltimore, or you look somewhere you got a guy that we should see in a couple weeks coming back to the Jets and Elijah McGuire. Or here's a thought for you: maybe you call Pittsburgh and you say, "What do you want for Le'Veon Bell?" That's a team that has been linked to him in the past, interested in him in the past, and that was when you had a healthy Breida. So I think at that point, I don't see Shanahan hanging his hat on the guy that he picked up off the street, to be honest with you. I think that's when they go out and adjust position to be traded.
Maybe they, I would have gone with the Bell trade had Garoppolo still been there. I think that took a hit. I think it took a hit when he did. But yeah. Could be. Listen, there's also a young man. Let me ask you something real quick before we wrap up, because I'll be talking about them on Houston. Maybe they could pry Miller, because they're going to be getting somebody back off of that pup list. Does Miller become available?
I would think Miller's available. I would think Miller's available now, to be honest with you. I think they'd run out for Blue if they had to. And that's still Dr.
I would.
Mentioned several times. Yeah, exactly. So at this point, I think you could get Miller, and you could probably get him for a fourth, maybe the sixth round, conditional 5, something of that nature. I think you could get him at this point. But I don't think, let's be honest, Kyle Shanahan's not stupid. I don't think he picks up. I don't think he has any reason to want Lamar Miller at this point. Because if the guy really that much of an upgrade over Alfred Morris or Raheem Mostert even at this point.
Interesting. True. That's why he'd be about a 6th round pick. He'd be a body. All right, so that's the San Fran and LA game. Let's get to this last one that we have for you. KC Denver. This is a matchup. What do you have going on in Mile High?
Well, this is the one that I see as kind of poetic, because this is the guy, this is the team that Pat Mahomes made his first career start against last year in Week 17 with no Travis Kelce, rest. No Tyreek Hill, rest. No Kareem Hunt, rest. We're putting him out there. We're putting out our prize 10th pick in the draft out there with no weapons. And we saw a guy complete the ball just over 60%, 284 yards, no touchdowns, 1 pick, but against a really good defense in Denver. And I think we got a chance to see what the future holds for this guy. Flash forward now, we look at a guy who's leading the setting records for touchdown passes after 3 weeks. A guy that's completing well over 70% of his balls the last time I looked. A guy that's just absolutely lighting it up, moving with the ball. He can run, but he's one of the, what I like about him, Jester? He's one of those guys, unlike Tyrod Taylor, who has one read and then takes off running. This guy will go through his progressions, run if he has to, but he's a quarterback. He wants to throw the football. And we're talking about a guy that can throw it on a rope. I've seen some balls this kid's thrown, an absolute laser 60 yards down the field with no air under that ball. It's really impressive to see. The guy has the talent. The guy has the ability. Let's look at the weapons around him. Tyreek Hill having a great season already. Travis Kelce, a guy that a lot of people were worried about. That, hey, is this guy going to get hurt with Pat Mahomes as quarterback? Well, after Week 1 and Week 2 and Week 3, I think we saw that Travis Kelce's role on that team is safe and secure. Sammy Watkins showed a little bit more than I expected from him already. but I believe the stat they gave the other day is he's already hit 7 different receivers or 7 different players for a touchdown. So we're talking about Conley, Watkins, Kelsey, the backside of the backfield. This guy is spreading the football around, getting everybody involved, and that Kansas City offense is scary. That is an offense that's just fun to watch. We flip over to the Denver side of the ball. The defense is still strong, led by Von Miller. It's still a good, stout defense. I don't think it's as fearsome as it once was. Bradley Roby's turned into a pretty good corner out there. You can see a guy where they miss a guy like Aqib Talib. Chris Harris still as good as ever. So let's talk about the offensive side of the ball. Vance Joseph, can you please pick a running back? Help the fantasy people out there. Is it going to be Lindsey? Is it going to be Booker? Is it going to be Freeman? Last week, Freeman got the most touches. The week before, Lindsey got the most touches. Week 1, it was a split. So I think Freeman's the most talented back on the roster, but it doesn't seem that Mr. Joseph knows who he wants to be the bell cow back, let alone if he's going to have a bell cow back. Case Keenum sporting a knee brace this week. That might be something to watch if you have a bye week or you're starting Case Keenum. You might want to keep an eye on that. Apparently, he's had a little soreness in that knee. Receiver-wise, Emmanuel Sanders has been fantastic. Demaryius Thomas has been pretty quiet. But something that, it bothers me just because I'm a fan of this player. Out for the season, tight end Jake Butt, torn ACL once again. So he is done for the season. All in all, it's just, wow. This is a guy that has the talent, just not going to have the opportunity, it looks like, as he's going to miss the rest of the year with that knee injury. So, last but not least, the guy that I want to look at, Cortland Sutton, guy that has shown some flashes overall, shown some ability, just not a big focal point in the offense yet, but I do think as the season rolls around, that's going to change. Jester?
Yeah, all right, let's start out with KC and let's get something out of the way. For all the miraculous stuff I've said about a whole bunch of quarterbacks, I have eaten my fair share of crow by saying that Mahomes would miss this first season, that he would not be what we're seeing this first year. I said that several times on the air before the season started. Hadn't seen anything from him, and nothing that at the NFL level or in practices that I had seen that would lead me to believe that we'd see this soon. And honestly, the kid is doing fantastic, folks. He is doing what everybody thought he'd eventually. I mean, I didn't say he wouldn't. I just said you would see it this year.
Right.
Okay. And he is. He is doing absolutely fantastic. I want to see now as defenses go ahead and get more film on him. If anything does change, that'll be interesting to watch as, NFL teams break it down into 4 segments, 4 games at a time. And so once this first 4 segment is done, okay, and in particular having a defense like Denver will help. And JT alluded, it's not that same defense, but still, it's going to be interesting to see what a Denver defense can do against the young men like this. As we're starting to get to the end of that first quarter, the beginning of the second quarter. There's game film out there. They are a decent defense. While they're not what they were, they're still decent enough that should cause a rookie, well, in my eyes, rookie. And it depends. JT, let me ask you something. That's a good question. While I have you here, I have read both. I have read that he's second year, and I have read that he's a rookie. What is he classified as this year? Do you know?
Well, everything I've read too is he's still classified as a rookie.
All right. We were having this debate the other day, and I've read both. So, all right, then he is still under rookie. All right. Well, anyway, I want to see what goes on now with a better defense. And again, it'll be interesting to see this weekend. I still think, like I said, he's a talented kid. I think they're going to need to see more out of that running game, and certainly The biggest thing that they need for Pat Mahomes to continue to have success has nothing to do with the offensive side of the ball. That KC defense is terrible right now. Don't you? I mean, do you agree? You know what, folks? Let's get him right back in here. We had him on earlier for a single shot. Bartender, make it a double. Let's get a double shot.
And that was it. That was our clip from let's see, that was Friday night. JT and I pre-recorded so we could bring that part of the show, get JT in here and get him in here as part of the show until he's set up in the studio. We can bring everything as I'm experimenting with everything here. Folks, I'm going to be honest with you, okay? I might be the fantasy guy, but I am learning the tech part. I've got people over here. I got people over here. I've got people over here. And getting it all down and keeping everybody organized. This is the second time as far as all this new setup. I hope it's going well out there for everybody and everybody's enjoying. A little recap of last night real quick before I break down one more game for everybody. I'm going to be breaking down the Baltimore-Pittsburgh game myself. And before I get to that, one of the early, actually there's two early returns from last night's show that has gotten a little attention. I guess the first and the biggest one so far, we pretty much had an idea, a real good idea that this was going to happen when I had said it, that you're going to see A.J. McCarron this year. If this continues, folks, Gruden's not going to tie himself, okay, to Derek Carr. And he doesn't have to. You know, I've gotten a couple of different viewpoints and resistance on this early, it seems like. And let me remind a couple of people why I'm saying this, okay? First of all, they've got a bye week coming up, week 7. There's a very good chance that they're going to end up with one win by then. That is a reality that could happen, folks. And if that happens, why wouldn't we see him after the bye week? Either A, as the permanent chance, let's see what he can do the rest of the season. What the hell, the season's shot to hell anyway. Or as a motivational tool saying, listen, you don't think I'll pull you, but watch, I'll pull you. And you go to McCarron for a couple games and depending on how he does, and you take it from there. But people have questioned, well, you can't go ahead and just drop somebody with $20 million. You know, what are they going to do with them next year? It's not $20 million next year. I keep saying this. It is $9 million next year. The contract changes for what the Oakland Raiders would be on the hook for. It changes the game completely. Would you be seeing A.J. McCarron if they were on the hook for the full $20 million? Less likely. Less likely. But you're either going to use them as a motivational tool or look to see what you have, and let's take it from there. I had somebody this morning also question me about A.J. McCarron. He's garbage. I don't understand that. He has an over 60% completion rate in the limited time in the NFL. He has more touchdowns to interception ratio by far. And then you go look, you know, the 2 national championships kind of help too. So I don't understand why anybody, A.J. McCarron hasn't had opportunity. I don't know if he sucks or not in the NFL. So far, I haven't seen it. And in that limited time, he hasn't sucked. He hasn't had any time. I mean, we're seeing it with Tannehill finally getting consistency. Imagine for somebody like McCarron, who really sat behind in Cincinnati, 1 year in a crappy Buffalo, and they did him dirty. Let's see what happens. I'm telling you, I'm taking a lot of flack for this A.J. McCarron thing. Let's find out how this plays out from here on in. The other one, you know, I got to be honest with you. I'm sorry. People are upset that I said Hyde is due for an injury. I'm not wishing it on the guy. I wish it on nobody. Well, I shouldn't say that. I don't know him well enough and don't like him well enough to wish him any injury. I'm just saying I smell one coming. Don't ask me why. It happens, okay? Kind of like, you've seen, if you're not new to the Jester Show, okay, you've seen me pull this crap before. It happens. I don't know why it happens. Let's get over here. Before we get over here answering any questions, let's give a quick breakdown. This Baltimore-Pittsburgh game, what do we see? What do I see? What do I see? I see a lot with my glasses on and not wearing my sunglasses, which I'd be remiss if I didn't say, from my fine sponsor that brings me all my sunglasses in every shade, Miami Sunglasses. Go check them out. Got to throw that in there. They have treated me well. They have been great people, and they make me look good, which is really... They can make me look good, folks. I'm telling you, that is the tagline for Miami Sunglasses. If they can make the Jester look good, they can make you look good. Anyway, Baltimore, Pittsburgh. Folks, Roethlisberger is Roethlisberger. Let's take a look. I mean, let's be honest. Big Ben, 335, 452, 353 so far, 1,140 yards. 7 touchdowns. People are like 4 interceptions. Yeah, but you know what? Those 3 of those 4 were in the first week. Since that first week where he threw 3 interceptions, yeah, the washed-up guy has 6 touchdowns, 1 interception. So I pretty much would say status quo in a division game. They know each other. You're just going to see the usual Pittsburgh-Baltimore slugfest. Okay, this is a game where everybody, it's like fantasy points for you, fantasy points for you, fantasy points for you. Everybody's getting it. Maybe not so much from Connor's perspective. I would temper my expectations on Connor this week, folks, as far as a good defensive game that holds that running game. But right now, Connor's facing a defense that gives up the 6th fewest fantasy points to running backs. The tight ends face the 9th fewest. And then the wide receivers are the 12th fewest. So if you go by that progression, in a game where you're expecting Ben to be Ben, and Ben has been solid so far this year. Despite the first game, 3 interceptions, he's throwing up no less than 335 a game. All right. So where you see the defense's weaknesses is at the passing game. So they're going to take advantage of that in this game. Normally in these kind of games, you see 2 defenses really just slobber knocking. All right, that was the expression years ago, was a slobber knocker, and it was a defensive battle, and you're going to see a little bit more offense this year from the Pittsburgh side because that's what Ben does this year, and surprisingly from the Baltimore side, where it's amazing when you draft a quarterback in the first round, what kind of motivation that is for the quarterback that's the incumbent. I mean, it really does. The expression is puts the spark under his ass, I believe. But they are playing against the Pittsburgh defense that has given up, depending on your scoring settings, anywhere between the 2nd and the 5th most fantasy points to quarterbacks. Flacco looking solid, not spectacular, but a very solid 889 yards so far in the year, 6 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Crabtree was his favorite guy before the season started. Him and Nelson are doing well. Look for that to continue. Crabtree getting 6 targets, 10 targets, 10 targets, just becoming a staple there. Nelson stays, as long as he stays healthy. I could see, again, you're going to see a little less running. You're going to see a different kind of game. Alex Collins is going to face the 5th fewest fantasy point defense. So what you might be used to in the past for these 2 teams in a game is going to be a little different because the rules of the game are different this year. The teams are different this year. So I expect to see a little bit more offense than we normally see out of this game. It's going to be a fun one to watch regardless. They always are. Baltimore, Pittsburgh, is always great theater. If you're a football fan, you already know this. A couple of notes from this week. Again, I said we're going to see Zeke go ahead. I'm just going to go through real quick. A couple of quick notes. We'll answer some questions and wrap this up real quick so everybody can get set for today's games. Absolutely, we are a quarter of the way. That's the scary part. After today, guys and girls, we are a quarter of the way through the season already. It goes quick. Those of you wondering, hey, where's the guy with the blue beard? It is October tomorrow. Yes, it is very pink in here, and it will be for the whole month of October. The Jester goes pink for breast cancer awareness. Save the tatas, everyone. And again, going over the notes, I expect Mayfield to go off today. Looking for that hide injury. Sorry, guys. I know. Carr is facing a defense that gives up the fifth fewest fantasy points to quarterbacks, and he's got 2 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. And I believe last night, I want to make it clear, just in case there is any confusion on what I said last night about Carr and his 2 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. I basically said last night on air that my fat ass would do better, and I'm going to stick to that statement. Stafford and Dallas game, low scoring. Zeke's going to be the one to finally get 100 yards. The best way to get that Dallas offense going would be to get the running game going first, and then you can build the play action and all off that. Get Dak feeling a little bit more comfortable. Fitzmagic continues to run out. Chicago defense going to blitz him all day, and he doesn't do well against the blitz. Folks, I'm sorry to announce, the first 2 games, he was blitzed the least amount of any quarterback in the NFL. The least amount of any quarterback in the NFL, that's what Fitzpatrick faced those first 2 weeks. Then last week, he faced the blitz and turned the ball over 3 times. Still got the 400 yards, but he turned the ball over 3 times. Look for that trend to continue. Look for the Fitzmagic to... That's all that was in here? Jameis will be back after the bye week, folks. Mitch Trubisky can't throw to the left. Seems to be a problem. Will that trend continue against the Tampa defense? I don't know if it really has to matter, but it is something to keep an eye on. We've mentioned Luck not being able to throw with any accuracy past 30 yards. We had the challenge. Anybody want to take me up on it about being able to throw 50 yards within the week? Right now, I can walk out the door of my studio and throw 40 yards, folks, and that's a true story. So 50 yards, Andrew Luck can't throw 50, and if you look at his pass patterns, go look at what he's done past 30 yards. It's scary. Trubisky, the other part is for him going left. Pay attention to these things. There's a reason why Fitzmagic was a journeyman. We're looking for Jameis to start. Trubisky, though, I'm saying Burton. I think I called Burton for a touchdown, 65 yards, 6 catches, touchdown, maybe 2. Jordan Howard, 17 carries, 80 yards, touchdown. Just Allen Robinson continuing to feast. He's been a target there. And, folks, let's get over here. Let's wrap this up for this morning, Sunday morning show, something new that we're kicking in. And don't really have a time slot for it. I think 9 o'clock works. This way it fits in, gets everybody in and out quick enough, and can still watch. If you haven't had the opportunity to watch last night's show, okay, you're not lost. You had the opportunity to watch it before lineups have to be set. And I would recommend, if you haven't joined already, because we haven't announced it. Like I said, last night was the soft opening, if you will, a soft opening like a good museum. We had the soft opening of the YouTube channel last night. The official announcement will come out tomorrow, October 1st, of the Fantasy Jester show. Go check it out on YouTube. You got Fantasy Jester FXE, but you got Fantasy Jester show. It's the channel. And it's on live as I do the show on all the other podcast networks and everything. It is the live feed that we give for everybody to pay attention and be able to watch it anytime. So last night's show, if you missed it, for the first time, you can actually watch it. As soon as this wraps up. Okay? Go watch it if you haven't seen it already. Great stuff. We're breaking it down. The breakdown, listen, the fantasy stuff hasn't changed here, folks. That hasn't changed. JT and I are going to break this shit down, and we're going to break it down well. All right? What is new? All of this. All of what's still to come. This new phase for the Fantasy Jester is a 6-month project. Enjoy as we learn. We're having fun bringing this all to you in whatever way that we can. Thank you for the support. Let's go real quick. Let's take a couple of comments or questions. We've got Doug Headley. Doug, how's it going, my man? I know you're gonna be hitting me with some questions, so let me get prepared here. All right. Doug coming from Kansas City, folks. Great guy. If you're in the fantasy football group, year-round fantasy football, great guy to talk to. Reach out to him. He's the one. He's one of the I told you about Mahomes. Like I said, I just said Mahomes next year. Next year, not this year. I was off by a year. Shoot me. But Doug asked, Boyd or Breeder in a flex, half-point reception and per carry, and also Bears defense and Packers. Well, the Bears defense plays Tampa Bay, and I already said I see Fitzmagic last week struggled with the blitz. Listen, he struggled with a team that blitzed. I think they were at 40%, I believe I read somewhere, and we can check on that. The Bears are just going to keep doing that, and you're going to see those turnovers even more. Green Bay versus Buffalo. Again, you'd like to think that Josh Allen's going to turn the ball over, but there's a good chance Shady's going to be playing too. And Josh is starting to prove that I'm starting to see where, hey, listen, he did 275 on the road with no weapons. I wouldn't be so. Might not be that typical, take against the rookie because he'll give the turnovers this week against Green Bay in Buffalo. I'm going to have to lean on the Bears defense there. As far as Breida and Boyd, Breida plays San Diego. Boyd plays Atlanta in a high-scoring game. But I also, in a high-scoring game where Atlanta doesn't have a middle of the defense, they don't have the middle of the back end, they're missing both safeties. Breida, kind of ding. Wow, this is a good one. That is a tough one. I'd say it's pretty close, Doug, close to a push. I've leaned Boyd just simply, I don't know, because I called for Eifert to have a big game this week too, because that middle is so soft. And when he's not hurt, okay, the hair flows. He's a lucky guy. No, I'm still going to lean Boyd. I'm going to lean Boyd in this one. Too many other factors going on in the other game. I see a high-scoring game out of that Cincinnati and Atlanta game. So, Mike Stucker's with us. Mike, what's going on, man? How's it going? Hope everything's well. Cute. Mike's got a cute little kid. I love Mike's kid. Anyway, Mike, good morning, buddy. So I need to pick one team to win today in a survivor pool. No point spread. I'm going with the Chargers. Yeah. That's a fair expectation to go with that. I'd go either with them or Cleveland. I really think Cleveland's going to go out to Oakland and beat up on Oakland. It's going to be funny. I really do. But I like that. I like San Diego. Do I like any team better? No, because Beathard hasn't really shown much at all. San Diego's got a pretty solid team there. Rivers is flowing nice. Oh, shit. I couldn't help that one. Sunday morning, breaking out the bad shit, folks. Sorry. Slightly off topic for a minute, my friend. What? Champion, okay, is a huge make. I gotta read this, folks, because it just when you start off slightly off topic. Listen, the best way to get your shit on air Okay, and start off slightly off topic. My friend is a wild chimpanzee researcher. That'll catch my interest every time. I don't care. We're taking. I got three. I get three a show, don't I? Just like a game, I get three. I'm calling timeout from fantasy just to see this. My friend is a wild chimpanzee researcher in Tanzania, Africa. He's a huge Mike Dicker fan and named one of his chimps after Dicker. I'd like to get a photo of the chimp named after Dicker signed by the coach. What's the best way to do that? Is Dicker still on any TV shows? Perhaps a TV show that they're interested in Dicker chimp story. Mike, get with me on that. I actually might be able to help you get Dicker to sign that. You got that picture. Go ahead, send it over to me. Well, I'll get you my address. Send me the picture and let me research it and see what I can do on that. I'll see what I can definitely do on that. The Dicker chimp story. Everybody's staying away from Dicker right now. I don't know. Maybe we can. It's something to look into. Maybe I could do a Dicker chimp story that leads into this. I'll write a story for the website, fantasyjestersports.com. We're building that up too. If you're a sports writer, hit me up. We're looking for a couple of good sports writers. And but yeah, maybe I'll do a monkey story on Ditka and get it that way. I don't know. We'll come up with something, Mike. Fitzmagic will never die. Yeah, the beard lives on. Forever live the beard. Would you rather have Fitz on the Bears? The guy has a cannon. Fitz is a journeyman. I know. He looks great those first two games. Those first two games, he was rushed less. He was blitzed less than any other quarterback in the NFL. It's easy to perform like that, even for a journeyman. They've got a ton of weapons. There's talent on that Tampa team. You give anybody time. You can give my fat ass time with those weapons, and I'll throw for the 4. Would you rather have him over Trubisky? It's scaring me. Could Mitch be a journeyman quarterback? Wow. Luck's injury is a bad one. He will never be the same. I'm starting to agree. We saw an injury, a shoulder, take Chad Pennington and make him a journeyman backup. Are we looking at Luck, journeyman backup? We could. We definitely could. Love waking to your show today, man. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate it. Been working a lot, man. Always provided us with great info. Listen, guys, it's real simple. Like I said earlier, I'm new to all of this setup. As far as the audio and the visual and the podcasting and all that good stuff and making memes and all that. Yeah, I'm new to all that. When I'm not new to sports and my love of sports. And that's the great part about JT. He shares that same love and the desire to have knowledge about every aspect of it. You know, all we can do is bring you everything that we've learned all week long. I've taken hours to research everything that we bring you. JT spends hours researching everything to bring you what we can. Here's what we've learned while you guys were all busy doing your thing, having a great time. We were having a great time doing ours. We were having fun. Our job is to do this, to bring everything to you while you're working, doing what you all have to do for your families. We'll do the research. We'll bring it to you. You listen to the information and then you decide, okay? All we can do is help you with whatever knowledge we can bring you. So thanks every week for tuning in, folks, especially people like Mike, people like Doug, people like Lamont Carlisle. There's a bunch of you out there, so many early supporters. We love you guys. I want to take this time. It is almost 10 o'clock. Let's get this wrapped up for today. It's a fun Sunday show. We'll see how this gets to build on a Sunday morning as we start getting more people in here. We'll get questions. We've got a chat over on YouTube. We launched the YouTube channel this week on Monday. Blog Talk Radio, every other place in the world that carries a podcast, you can find us. Thank you so much for joining me. I am the Fantasy Jester, and you know, I'd love to play. We have a great outro. And I'd love to be able to play it. And that's the problem is, oh, wait a minute. You know what, folks? I think I might be able to play. Oh, no, I can't. Son of a bitch. That's one of the things I'm going to have to work on. See, at this audio end, other than on the podcast and blog talk, there's a bunch of different drops, music drops, this, that, the other, which I'm finding out I got shut down the other day on the practice run. This is something, folks. You won't have the Fantasy Jester opening either on Facebook or on YouTube for, I don't know, however long it takes to get approval. We have a great opening to the show with music, and they shut us down because they weren't sure if we had the rights to the music. We do have the rights to the music from the band. It's providing the information to them, then getting it all okay. So the opening will come to the video part of this. The opening will come. The closing will come to it. The close from Bob Tewksbury is an absolutely great close. For now, I'm just closing it as this. I'm the Fantasy Jester. I'm out. I'll see you during the week. Have a great day, folks. Good luck, everybody, this week 4 in the NFL. Have a great day. Love you all. Take care. We will end YouTube there.